pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight I'm going to turn this over to Mark and Amy to discuss the financial strategic planning roadmap. We started conversations on this last meeting. We're going to continue them tonight, and then we'll talk as we get into the September further. So, Amy, Mark, you want to add anything?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just kick Amy off, and Melissa's also here. I want to recognize other staff members that are here as well. Thank you all for coming tonight. This will be a brief continuation of last meeting's conversation on capital planning and some financial constraints that the town still has and is working through. The purpose of tonight's presentation is building on what we did last month, where we showed you some budget modeling and just 100,000 foot view of the current landscape. What we'd like to do tonight is try to focus attention on two or three of the potentially biggest issues on the municipal side of capital planning, just to give you a flavor of what's coming in the fall, as everybody on the board and watching in the public knows. We start our budget planning in mid-fall, leading to a budget presentation to the Board of Selectmen in mid-February. As we did last year, we're hoping to start our capital planning a little early. It seems like it's always worth starting a little early because there's a lot to do. And so we're engaging with the board over the summer, mainly just to give you a taste of what's coming and to give you time to think about key issues like like the pool. And I'll stop there and turn it over to Amy and Melissa.
Okay.
Thanks.
So the board seems supportive of moving forward with a strategic plan, doing some more capital planning and trying to get to that long-term strategic goal, where we have that modeling going about 15 years out. So this is a proposal that staff put together on perhaps next steps to get there. So we just wanted to present those this evening and get some feedback of the board. So starting off on that first slide, the roadmap. So review of existing capital improvement plan. So this is something that, we do every year as part of the budget process, but we want to kind of change it up a little bit this year. And just to pre-note, this is something that we would be doing in conjunction with the Board of Education to get that one cohesive plan. So first, to have staff revamp the plan based on need and remove the unfunded category. So we're gonna go back, we're gonna review our facility studies and our recommended maintenance planning. We will compare this with the department head assessment. So since some of those plans are quite old, if we actually say it needed a roof, if we actually look at the roof, is it, good old fashioned roof that's good since 1984? Or is it a modern technology where, maybe it doesn't last as long? So get some eyes on some things that are some major dollar values, and see if we can fine tune where we have those projects within the plan. So then we can redevelop the plan based on this priority of having a department head recommendation along with the facilities plan study kind of commingling into one with a modern day assessment of those needs. And then we are going to remove our unfunded category. So we are going to completely take the unfunded category off of the plan. So staff is going to have to determine if those projects go away completely, or we're going to have to find a year in the plan where it works as far as need assessment and financially. And I'll show you how we get there. And then the last part is to have the Board of Selectmen work on providing some policy guidance to staff, which I'll take you through on the next slide. And then this work will be simultaneous along with the department heads. So the capital plan side and the department side will be led by Melissa Appleby. And then Mark will take you through the planning in the upcoming months related to some of the policy discussions. So after this, we are going to review the plan with the town manager. So the town, the internal staff have their plan. The Board of Selectmen have provided some guidance on some of these big projects. And we know that this plan going into having the priorities of the staff based on the current plan and some of the major projects from the policymakers, we know that this plan is going to be in excess of our financial capacity. So at this point, the town manager will take the lead on finalizing a plan to determine the timing of the projects, the final need, the financial capacity, and put together one final plan. Then this plan will be presented back to the Board of Selectmen for feedback. So included in that plan, you'll have a revitalized capital improvement plan over the next 5-6 years. And then you will have a budget modeling that goes for the next 15 years in accordance with this capital planning. So this slide is our policy guidance slide. So this is where we need the help of the Board of Selectmen. You all represent the public and what they want. So this is where we need the guidance on if we should have these items on the plan, whether they should come off the plan, if they will be on the plan, to what extent they will be on the plan. So just for example, that first one on there that we've been talking about recently is the memorial pool. So it's not just, is there a splash pad, is there not a splash pad? There's multiple options within that project. You know, we can decommission the pool, we can have a new pool, we can create the splash pad. You know, a lot of these conversations have already happened. So kind of trying to, guide these conversations in a way that we can gain some clarity on where we think we're headed with that project. The same thing for the Eno Hall building and the maintenance. You know, do we want to keep the senior center there? Do we want to move the senior center to another part of town? So to start these discussions, staff would put something together for the next Board of Selectmen meeting. Perhaps we have each of the options associated with these, the cost associated with those options, perhaps some pros and cons, maybe a Q&A back and forth in planning. However Mark wants to handle that, the specifics of the policy discussion and leading that discussion. But these are the main areas where they are big projects. They are all community based, and this is something that our policy makers need to help us out to see if it's going on the plan and to what extent it would be going on the plan. And then just the last slide here is just the next steps on how to get there. So this is just a general timeline based off of that first slide I just reviewed with you. Starting with the department heads to review current requests, the facility plan studies, the timeline of managing projects, that would start in August. And then throughout the months of August and September, staff would work to finalize that plan while the Board of Selectmen are working on their policy work throughout their meetings in September as well. Then all of that feedback will come back to the town manager, hopefully by the end of September. And then he will use the staff documents as well as the board feedback to finalize a draft plan. And then this final plan will be presented back to the Board of Selectmen on October 26th with a full CIP plan, including the out years, along with the budget modeling, the proposed budget modeling that will be the 15-year period. That will include proposed mill rates, the capital planning, the bonding, etc. So that's what we came up with for next steps, and just looking to see if anybody has any feedback related to that.
So I just wanna say I love the roadmap. I really like that. It's just, everything's just concise. A lot we've talked about, a lot you guys talked about, all in one place with a path to move forward. So I think that's great. I know you mentioned Board of Ed. I don't know how Board of Ed's stuff rolls into this. Cause if we're doing this, they should be doing that too, and we would need to come together because we're gonna be the ones to end up approving their stuff. So
Right.
that's the factor to me is like a outside factor.
So no, we kind of imagined it all inclusive. Melissa does the capital for the Board of Ed and for the town as well.
Okay.
So she's in those capital meetings on a weekly basis. So part of her working with those individuals on a weekly basis would be to put together the Board of Ed capital plan in conjunction with the town and kind of give it some of that cohesion. And then Mark would have to work with Matthew on a those finalized steps, if you will, to make sure it's included in the plan and kind of negotiate where things can be on the plan.
Okay, and that's, I like the idea of the, staff saying their high level priorities, so we know we could kind of say those have to happen. And the Board of Ed can do that, but as far as Board of Ed policy, nice to have things like that's where we need their input for that, right? So but I think it's an aggressive timeline, but it would be great if we can do this in this timeline, is how I feel. And those are my comments. I'd open it up to other people. Anybody doesn't have any?
Are we gonna get?
Hold on,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Mike raised his hand, so.
I do.
I didn't wanna just shout it out. But I could do that if I had to. I know, I'm trying to behave. I think it is an aggressive timeline. I think it's good because we need to have all of these steps done in order to really do a good job on the budget for next year. So we gotta push ourselves and get her done, and go from there.
I also like it's in, oh, sorry, you're gonna talk, but it's in line with our goals. Like the our first goal is really kind of falls into place.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but are we gonna get a list of the CIP projects to work with, or how are we going to engage on the 14th?
So on the 14th would just be related to, right, those projects right there.
Okay.
And then after that, it would be the final on the September 26th, where you would have the final plan with all of the proposed projects.
Okay, and excuse my naivety, but why is the senior center and the police facility rolled into one line?
It's just something that was discussed along the way. It's one of those option things. Do you have a senior center? Do you have a police facility? Do you have one or the other? Do you have both?
The last time it showed up on the plan, it this is what it looked like.
titled.
It was like $30 million in year 5, and that's what the title was. So
I was here when it was we had the separate ones and then the police, and there was like, both seemed very intangible. So I think we rolled them both together.
Right.
That's why they don't have to go hand in hand, but
Mhm.
we're gonna build a giant building. And-
Yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, Diana.
So a couple of questions or points, to Wendy's point earlier, it's hard to have these discussions without having the discussion on the looming squadron line and the school projects that may, because if it's going to fall on the town side, which it does, our budget, we can't effectively even try to have conversations and prioritize the needs for these 4 items without considering that, because where that's gonna fall in may determine where these fall in or do not. And I think that's one of the looming things. And on that same line, also within line, understanding that these are large capital, but there may be other capital things that aren't as large as these within the budget, that they're smaller items and may or not need bonding, but again, it's the overall picture. So I understand you have to break it out somehow, but in some ways it is our prioritization on these may change after looking at the fuller budget on the 28th anyway, and they may have to get changed depending on how that what is on that list as well.
So first related to the squadron line, so we have to start somewhere, right?
Correct.
So if we have the listing of the department priorities and the Board of Selectmen has their priorities related to these projects, whether we want them on or we want them off. So if the Board of Selectmen says we don't wanna do any of those, squadron's
Okay.
in a great place, right? But if we only wanna do 1 or 2 of those, which one's more important? Can we move out squadron? Should we move it forward and then have this one after? But it centralizes the conversation without worrying about everything else that should or should not be on the
Yeah.
plan. Because those are conversations that are going to happen, to your point. They have to happen in order to
Right.
have a cohesive plan. And then related to the other capital needs, the smaller capital, is that what you're referring to? The
Yeah,
stuff
I
that
mean-
doesn't hit the CIP threshold. So I mean, that's part of the long-term financial planning as well. So if we have our CIP plan and then we're seeing all these other capital needs, then we know long-term financially, we need to start building up that cash.
Right.
Or do we?
And that's
Right.
and to that point, like if we know on the capital, like the smaller capital projects that need to be done, like roofs on any of these, for example, or systems, which I understand what we talk about this a lot for but our prioritization of understanding what we're doing with it before we then have a plan one way or the other. If even town hall renovation, like where is this going? If it's gonna be on part of a DPW project plan, and then we have different plans and prioritization, they dovetail off each other, and just make sure that we're not planning for something in shorter term planning and improvements when it may be on something for a prioritization for a long-term
Agreed.
capital.
I think that this gives you the first step in building it to that point, but after the 26th, that isn't, here's your plan, like this is what we've decided. Like you all have to look at that plan and be like, okay, this makes sense here. No, we don't want a 5% increase there. Can we move that? That's okay. But we really want this starting this year and we can get away with a 3% this year, things of that nature. So it just gets you the basis of where we need to be, really. Because the conversations do need to happen. We can't just hand it to you on a platter
And you're right, it's a short time, but we have to start somewhere.
And if I could just jump in on one key point here, the staff spent a good amount of time on this, is even before this, when you, if you're looking at these four things, depending on which direction the board wants to go with let's say you wanted to do, you like the sound of A. Well, now you've got to get into, are you refurbishing the pool? Are you putting in the splash pad? Are you decommissioning the pool? So within, letter A, you've got those options. We can't price that firmly into a proposed capital plan until the board gives us some feedback on what you'd prefer to do. And I think some of these conversations will, put a pin in conversations that have been going on in the case of the Intergenerational Community Center now for many years. And so targeting whether we want this or that will enable us to better cost it out. And then the last thing, I know I mentioned this last month, we also want to try to give the board better data. And what I mean by that is, let's take a look at what, if you really wanted to do one of these, for example, what is the cost of delay?
Mm-hmm.
And the cost of delay has never previously been factored into, in all accounts, to the capital plan. So if we say we're going to defer something from year 2 to year 4, what would be the expected cost of doing it? Now, if you don't want to do it at all, then that's fine. But even with respect to Squadron, in the conversations I've had with the superintendent, we are keenly aware of the cost of delay. And the taxpayers ultimately fund that cost of delay, but you don't see it on the capital plan.
Right.
The decision that Amy referenced to remove the unfunded category is kind of a double-edged sword, because what it does is it takes off the capital plan for public consumption all the things that we've deferred. Mm-hmm. And so that was the idea behind putting an unfunded category in there, is, hey, we need these things. But in the interest of getting a plan that works, we've decided to take the unfunded out. We can always list it separately and just focus on what we can do in the short term. So we're looking forward to giving the board more data, and we'd really appreciate some feedback as early in the process on these 4 big key points.
Just a couple things. The unfunded started years ago. Remember when we had things that were just taken out of the CIP? We didn't want to lose sight of them, so we put them in a separate list because it didn't fit. And that's how it originated multiple years back, I think, in maybe my first year on. And then the other thing for these, I can't say the dates right now if you want to go to the dates, but if we're gonna talk about those four things, it would be really good to have a fact sheet on each one with the same data, slots of data, so that we can compare them to each other. Cause we've talked about we have so much information, we've had so many discussions on the splash pad, we don't need to start from scratch.
Right.
If we just compile it all together, things like that would be really helpful, because we have it.
Yep.
I'm good, you guys, everybody, any more questions? Okay,
Only thing that I'll add, I guess, is that some of these things probably have other things in budget that are related to it. Obviously, if we're talking about police, we have costs, there in those buildings, and same thing. So there's opportunity costs that we have by not doing the projects, but we also have current costs that are associated with them. So in our discussion, whatever information you have that overlays onto that, because there might be something to consider there, that's all.
thank you.
Yeah, I'll just so you have time to think about it. I know I mentioned this, or Tom Roy did in a memo, but the cost of the renovations, particularly at that really, because of the deed and our responsibility for those that maintenance, very significant amounts of money. I'm told much cheaper to do it if the building is empty.
Correct.
And that requires moving everybody out of that building, closing it for a period of time. Those are tough policy decisions for the board. So we're we've already started to work with Tom's help and Melissa's help on costing that out. But by some accounts, the savings is upwards to $1 million to get everybody out of there, decommission the building while we do what we need to do. That is significant, and we're going to give all of that data back to the board. So we appreciate the question.
just make the decision now and then have the next board have to.
This is the fun part, Kevin.
It's fun.
Thank you, Chair, that's all we
Sure.
had.
Okay, thank you guys. So now we're moving on to public audience. I don't know if anyone signed up outside on the sheet. Did we have any signups outside?
We have one by
Hold on, Tom's going to
as
just,
in,
okay, we can do Zoom first.
if
That
we
would be
could start
easier.
there, that'd be good.
Yeah, I just didn't know if anyone signed up or not. Okay, well, you could give it to Tom, or give it to me and I'll fill it out as we go. So we're gonna let Susan go just cause she's online, if that's okay. And set the timers for 5 minutes, everyone has 5 minutes. Susan, can you hear us?
I can, it's a little intermittent, can you hear me?
Yes, you
Yes.
sound good.
Okay, yes, so I don't know if I can really hear myself, but I'll just keep going. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to speak via Zoom. I wanna put in a plug for trying to allow for virtual participation at other public hearings and things like this for the town, just because some people don't drive, it's difficult to get to meetings, and offering a remote participation would really benefit allowing more people to participate and pay attention. The two things that I wanted to just briefly mention tonight is I skimmed through the agenda and I saw a couple of notes about open space policy and open space inventory, working with the planning department. And I just wanted to signal that the Open Space Committee has been working on a comprehensive document that would include the inventory and our policies and everything in kind of a one-stop shopping document. And our goals are to address any errors in the current inventory. We found things that say they're open space that aren't, and things that are open space that are missing. So we want to address any errors. And we also want to, I'm working with Tom Tyberski, we can compile our policies for stewardship, acquisition, kind of a whole bucket list of things we've been working on for the past few years. So I think that would be really helpful. We'll be sharing it widely. And our goal is to request time to present to the Board of Selectmen late October, beginning November. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. The second point that I wanted to bring up is, obviously there's been a lot of ongoing discussions about affordable housing, and we did discuss this at the Simsbury Grange, and I know other Granges are discussing this as well. The Grange is nonpartisan, non-denominational. We have an annual meeting every October, and some of the resolutions that are coming in for the annual meeting are about having real common sense definitions for affordable housing, because to a regular citizen, affordable means a price that someone can afford. And the state definition is so restrictive that even if you give someone a free house, it doesn't count as affordable according to the state of Connecticut. And neither does housing that you receive as part of your work. If you work on a farm, if you work at a school or an institution, or you're a superintendent or a nanny or a live-in caregiver, none of those things count according to the state. And there's many, many other situations that are perfectly common sense to a regular citizen as affordable that aren't counted by the state of Connecticut. And I hope that as we're trying to make our plans, the narrative that I always hear is there's nothing that we can do about it because of the state statute. I mean, ultimately, we are the town, we are the state. The state would really benefit by having really honest conversations about what affordable housing means and how to have a definition that promotes options that are truly affordable. So that's just my point about that, and I look forward to sharing more information about all of that. And thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to speak remotely tonight.
Thanks, Susan. Okay, I have Joan Coe.
Joan Coe. I would like to report that although Deputy First Selectman Steve Antonio filed a no trespass report with the Simsbury Police against me, I have not been arrested or detained by the Simsbury Police so far. The court has not issued a restraining order against me. It appears that my comments at the last Board of Selectmen meeting and the posting on Twitter at Joan Co. to boycott Antonio Restaurant and Hideaway Bar has resulted in fewer people going to these establishments. The boycott will be lifted when Deputy First Selectman removes the no trespass action at the Simsbury Police Department. Recently, the Simsbury Code Compliance Officer fined the Plan B restaurant on Railroad Street. The notice reads, quote, "On January 8, 2025, a notice of violation was issued alerting you of the order to repair or replace the dumpster enclosure in order to provide adequate screening from Phelps Lane and relocate all dumpsters inside the said enclosure. You have failed to take corrective action, appeal to the order, or request an extension. This citation carries a fine of $150 per day, which began on February 7, 2026. To date, you owe $4,650. Fines will continue to accrue in force until the violations are cleared," end quote. Deputy First Selectman had zoning violations, so the communications were through telephone calls. The zoning compliance officer reviewed my complaints about the sign on Deputy First Selectman restaurant property. Call your mother. And at first determined that the sign was not included in the original site plan and constituted a violation. Then, after questioning the issue about compliance and violations, the code compliance officer stated, quote, "Our department reviewed the matter and determined the following. The sign does not qualify as a sign as it does not advertise anything," end quote. It would appear that there is special treatment for some and not for others. The use of AI, artificial intelligence, should be implemented with Simsbury town staff. It drastically improves administrative efficiency, reduces financial losses, and enhances public service delivery. By automating routine burdens, Simsbury can scale their operations to do more with fewer resources. Town Manager Mark Nelson should be encouraging staff to use AI to increase efficiencies. However, Town Manager Mark Nelson has concerns about implementing the use of AI throughout the workforce without controls. Town Manager Mark Nelson should use every tool available for efficiencies in the workplace. Rumor has it the First Selectman Wendy Mexcuses will not be running for another term. It has been rumored that Deputy First Selectman Steve Antonio is interested in running for first. If this is true, Steve Antonio should send a letter to the Board of Ethics for an advisory opinion on inherent conflicts during his tenure in office. The Democrat Party should canvass the town for a well-qualified person to run for the position of First Selectman, as there is time to find a replacement. First Selectmen, along with the Board of Selectmen, are primarily responsible for setting policy, public policy, managing the local budget, and ensuring the delivery of critical public services. It should be the responsibility of our elected officials to oversee the state legislation that affect the community. The zoning regulations were hijacked by special interest lobbyists, enacted the Affordable Legislation Act, Section 830G, that allows builders to bypass local zoning rules. The stringent requirements imposed on the town have not only drastically increased the housing stock, but placed an undue burden on the community. A database should be established with an inventory of affordable units in the town with yearly reports to the town. Our elected officials should find a mechanism to reverse these laws by whatever means possible. Our elected officials have not protected the town with an increase of solar panels on fragile land on Nod Road, zoned residential. Solar panels deplete farmland's rich soil, fragmenting local animal and plant habitat. The panels are weather reliant. Disposing of the panels can cause environmental issues. Once again, our elected officials have allowed special local interest groups to develop legislation that negatively impacts the town. International Skating Center in Simsbury has not been paying their fair share of taxes. Presently, they pay 90% of the in lieu of taxes when they own a multi-million-dollar building. The payment in lieu of taxes will use the mechanism to give the original owners some latitude in a fledgling business at inception. The business has changed hands over years, and present owners have expanded the business and should be required to pay the full value of the building and taxes. The town should renegotiate the lease agreement with the International Skating Center, and the taxpayers should not be subsidizing
Thank
the
you, Joan.
well-established business with special treatment. All of my comments will be placed on Simsbury Pat and Twitter at Jones Vote. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Are you here for public audience also?
Yeah, and I wasn't aware there was a sign up.
That's okay. This woman was here first, so and you can go after her. Are you speaking for public audience? Just state your name and address, please.
Sorry, I'm not gonna give you my address, cause I don't live in town, but I do pay taxes.
Okay, as long as you
So
pay
I
taxes.
would like to speak and I would like my addresses stricken from the record.
We don't have your address.
You have them right in your hand.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I feel like you say your name, but I guess I
My name is Maria Ecke, and I've lived in this town and other towns for a long time. I received a letter from Mr. Nelson recently. I'm writing to inform you that public use of the town's public library and services is governed by town policy, as well as, of course, by applicable state and local laws. As I am sure you understand, as a public facility staffed by town employees and volunteers, we must endure a safe and non-hostile environment is maintained at all times. You have been made aware by town staff I have been made aware by town staff that you have recently and repeatedly interacted with our staff in a hostile, berating, and intimidating way, which caused our employees distress and alarm. Our policy permits the exclusion of individuals and suspension of access to and services of the library in situations that are deemed to create, among other things, a hostile work environment for our employees. Prior to the suspension of any access, I am writing to make you aware of the town's policy in these matters. I hope you will be governed accordingly. And of course, it has this sent to both my addresses, to my home address and to the taxpayer's address, which is mine. Now, as I said in my next letter, I was shocked to receive this letter because there's been problems with the town library and nobody wants to acknowledge it. First of all, when there's photocopies that are limited to certain people, and I'm sorry, I didn't really say it well. All I know is that library staff should be helping people, not criticizing or basically, I feel, abusing them. When they ignore your requests, and for instance, my flash drive was stuck in the computer and I couldn't leave because I didn't know how to get it out without losing my data on it, which is much more important than this meeting right now. But anyway, I asked a question and I did bring the Simsbury Valley News or whatever article. It was in April of 26 about the library's position in basically in the library world. And it wasn't answered. And people vacuum underneath your feet when you're trying to type. People try to, just make fun and jeer at you when you take spices, which is supposed to be for the public to have. I wonder if this has something to do with the first part that I asked Mr. Nelson. And pardon me if I mispronounce names. Why, my first questions were, which I wrote to the town, were on July 13th. And I called, I asked for this. Why was Wendy McCusick why was she given a raise when she insulted a poor woman at a town meeting who talked about her dead child by pointing to her watch to cut off the woman. In my opinion, Wendy should be been given a demotion or a cut in salary. Luckily, Joan Coe talked about it on Reese in the radio, News Talk 1080. Why is the Department of Public Works? Why didn't they sweep Glenbrook Drive and the surrounding areas this year? Why doesn't the town manager live in town? Why does Eric Gnomes have the authority to call the police on citizens if they are sitting and waiting for the assistant to come back from lunch and talking to employees? And if anything, I did make a mistake in this. I was asking for a complaint form about the police department. And I never got the complaint form. I never got anything other than being escorted out of town hall where I pay my taxes. And that was when I did live here. Why is the volunteer ambulance asking for more money all the time when they didn't even take a dying man to the hospital? They let my son die in his bed. Why shouldn't raises be given by what employees have accomplished throughout the year instead of hurt people?
Mary, your time is up.
Okay, that's
Thank you.
fine.
We have the information in front of us to address. Thank you.
I hope I get an answer.
Thank you.
Be careful. Thank you.
Brian Smith, 7 Wintergreen. I'm here today to talk about the flock cameras in town. I don't know if any of you guys are aware of them or not, but we have 6 in town now. So these cameras cost the town thousands of dollars every year. And the more important thing to me and a lot of other people in town is that we rent the cameras from a company named Flock. And they're actually operating the cameras and doing whatever they want with them all day long. And they can even sell the data to pretty much anyone they want to. So us driving around in our little town is being tracked and profited off, and we're paying them to use their cameras. So Windsor and a couple other towns locally have recently banned the cameras altogether, canceled the contracts, and allocated the money to more important things. So I hear, just being here for like 5 or 10 minutes in the beginning, that we're looking for money to renovate pools and other areas of town. So I think those thousands of dollars we're using on the cameras could be allocated a lot better. And I don't have a problem with the police using cameras. I get that they stop crime and help, but I think they should put up their own cameras if they want to do that. We shouldn't rent through this company that has been found to sell data and use it improperly. So I've heard from other people just talking to them, and there's a lot of talk on Facebook about it, but people are pretty upset about it. I'm not really a good speaker at all, nor would I ever think I'd be doing this, but wanted to at least bring it to your attention and maybe make a difference. I don't know if anyone has questions or feedback about it, but I'm sure you're aware of them now.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, what was your last name?
Smith.
Thank you.
Yep.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here for public audience? Okay, first Selectmen's report. I'll mention the flock cameras, but I did wanna start with a thank you to the residents. I wanna thank everyone in our community who reached out to me with condolences after my mom, Renee Germain, passed away. I've received so many cards, kind words from many of you who came to the service, came to my house. I want you to know how much it meant to me and my family. She was an amazing pianist, playing for many Broadway shows with the Producing Guild. She raised 5 kids with my dad, who worked for the state DOT as a civil engineer, which I never realized that I had someone in my family that was in public service until recently, till I got into public service. She started her own career at Cigna once the house was clear of small children. She was 97 and spent the last years at Simsbury in skilled nursing. So we've been moving back beyond that to remember what a great mom she was, a talented musician, a loving grandma, and a successful career woman, and I feel like I should give her that tribute here. So that was a source of privilege. Just to touch on the flock cameras, we know that Lamont asked for a pause in installations on the flock cameras. Steve Antonio has asked our chief of police to put together some talking points. So we are aware of the concerns out in the public on the flock cameras. There are some benefits. The town is following the state laws of not selling it to anybody outside of the state, retaining the data for 30 days. But we will be talking about it and hopefully have a communication of some sort in our next meeting to provide information to everybody. But it's not that we're aware of what's happening. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was the Nod Road Solar project was approved by the Siting Council on August 6th. We have received the conditions of the items that need to be met by them for the town. Those are all posted on the town. If they're not on the town website now, they will be posted there because we have a separate page that has all the information there. And a lot of it is also on their website. The other thing that there is an opportunity if we choose to appeal, and those will be discussions we'll have with the town attorney on what that means and what the options are and what the benefits are to that. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that. The other thing that we did recently, which I believe it was August 3rd, we had approved the filing of a moratorium for 830G last year. And we resubmitted it to the state there was a couple of misfindings, so we wanted them corrected, but the state does not take those, they only go by the original submission. So because we had given permission, the town has submitted a new moratorium request to the state. We don't have an answer on that yet because it just happened, but it had all the information that we needed. I also want to point out that we recently met with the Friends of Simsbury Athletics, who presented to the Board of Ed in June, that they have a large capital project that is being funded by residents through a new 501c3. We did meet with Matt, Curtis, and Jeff to answer questions about how this will become a Board of Ed priority and will move to year one in our capital plan. And Mark asked questions on the funding and how the appropriations would work, and he'll work with Amy on that because Amy is a shared service. But the Board of Ed will, be following up, presenting to us, the items on this to get it into our CIP. I just want to thank the Performing Arts Center for the successful HSO with the opening of the new act. I hope people enjoyed the green room. We're going to talk about our Board of Selectmen goals tonight. Hopefully we'll get them approved or close to approved, and I will distribute them. If we approve this, we will be having a public hearing on the veterans tax exemptions that were put into the state legislation last year. We have not acted on them, but we have information tonight. And the rest of it, I think I can cover in the reading. But I do want to also just mention that, with our license agreement with the Simsbury Soccer Club, they now have a capital campaign director who is actually asking for our help to make sure that they follow what's in this agreement and make sure that they follow all the town stuff. So that's just starting up right now. And I think that's everything. And I'll turn it over.
Consent agenda.
Oh, I did. I'll do consent agenda after you guys. So thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. I'll try to go quick. I know we only meet once this month, so forgive this, the length of the town manager report's a little longer today. Want to brief the board, and you saw some email traffic on it today. There was a hack of a town meeting, a sustainability committee meeting that occurred on Thursday evening. That event and disturbance of that public meeting resulted in the immediate shutdown of that meeting and the reconvening of it at some point later. But because there was inappropriate content that went out through the live feed, the YouTube channel has temporarily suspended our partners, Simsbury Community Media, and their YouTube account. We are working with our partners at SCM, with our IT director, and now we'll be involved in the YouTube investigation. as well to help as best we can to get SCM's access reinstated. In the meantime, as you may have already gotten the alerts I just did, this meeting is being live streamed on Facebook Live. We're taking certain steps internally to make sure that these events don't happen and that we are as secure as we can be. We have no reason to suspect any influence on town systems at this point, and we'll keep the board informed to any changes. Secondly, as the first selectman indicated, we just want to give the board a little bit more detail on the 830G issue from planning. So the town has been actively working on, I don't know if I'd call it an application or a reapplication. The exact language of this is for a certificate of affordable housing completion. This certificate is awarded by the Connecticut Department of Housing, and once it's approved, the certificate would allow for up to a 4-year moratorium on certain affordable housing projects under CGS Section 830G. What we've been doing is working with them on the draft application. It's very important that we get to them everything they think they need, because the analysis is, as we found out the first time, complex and has to do with Eno Farms. The formal application will be filed once they've given us the green light and the town attorney has signed off on it. The next step is that we're going to be required to republish. And we did this the first time, but we're going to have to republish in the media our intent to submit. That is a posting that's out there for 20 calendar days. Following submission, the Department of Housing is expected to review the application, we hope fairly quickly. And upon the completion of the state's review, the Department of Housing will issue a formal determination regarding the town's application. We're going to continue to coordinate with the town attorney and the Department of Housing throughout the process. We're checking with them fairly frequently, and we'll keep the board apprised of any significant updates. With respect to, we've got a bunch of really interesting things I want to go through quickly from Public Works. Among others, Simsbury's Department of Public Works was able to provide mutual aid to Harwinton following July's severe thunderstorms. We supplied a tree crew, and I know some of you are aware of the fine work that our folks did there. I want to thank our staff that was involved in this, including they used our large wood chipper and which assisted in their cleanup and recovery efforts. Mutual aid is one of the greatest strengths of municipal government. We're grateful for not only the opportunity to help a neighboring community, but extremely grateful for when they come here to Simsbury to help us, as they have a number of times since I've been here. Our Public Works crew represented Simsbury with professionalism and skill, and our hats are off to all of them. Simsbury, also working with the Board of Education, was able to execute 2 power purchase agreements with Green Skies Clean Energy LLC. Board members will see in their packets a communication from Director Roy about that. Just a point of personal privilege, I want to thank Superintendent Curtis, our partners at the Board of Education. I want to thank everybody on the Simsbury Sustainability Committee that's been working hard to get this done, and of course Director Roy for helping us unjam this and get us to the PPA. I don't want to steal his thunder, he's on vacation this week. But we do plan a draft press release on this really important issue. We haven't drafted it yet, but I'll be circulating it over the next couple of days for board comments. And we'd love to get board members and other members, particularly from the Sustainability Committee and the Board of Ed, perhaps to join us in really heralding this. The combined 2 solar arrays will provide over $1 million, 1 million kilowatt hours per year of electricity. And I'll leave it to you to look in the memo to look at the savings, but it's over $1 million over a period of years, and it will have an immediate impact on Board of Ed costs for electricity. From the Planning and Community Development Department, in the Town Manager Report posted online, you'll see information about a FEMA open house for the Farmington River watershed. The Hartford County Flood Map Update Project. Many of the board members, I think all of you are aware that this has been a long time in the making for FEMA to publish these maps. There is an open house that's gonna be held on Tuesday, September 22nd, from 4 to 7 at the Avon Public Library, and we'll get all the details to you in your email boxes and also posted online. And had it been a little quicker, I might have thanked FEMA for this, but it has taken quite a while to get that done. I should not comment. I wanna thank Parks and Rec in particular. What a wonderful event, a great crowd, and I see Tom Dabrowski's in the audience. A good crowd at our jazz concert at the Flower Bridge on Tuesday, July 28th. Our recreation coordinator, Katrin Heisman, is pictured in that. You'll see that online. The Simsbury Park and Recreation Department is gonna host the 5th annual end of summer blast. Is it 5? Really, 5 years?
Yeah.
Wow. The 5th annual end of summer blast event on Saturday, August 22nd. This is a very popular event, and it's held, of course, at Simsbury Farms Recreation Complex. Features inflatables for kids, face painting, my favorite, balloon twisting, food trucks, and a concert by the Shaded Soul Band will occur from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Again, that's Saturday, August 22nd, and the event's gonna be up on Parks and Rec's website as well as the town's. The event wraps up with a spectacular fireworks show. That's our 9th this year. No, I'm just kidding. I know we had a July 4th, we had one at the PAC, we've had a couple this year.
Yeah, hope it doesn't drown out the Indigo Girls.
We don't want that, but
It will
It's the other side.
just enhance it.
for those who wanna just get there for the fireworks, 8:40 p.m. start. Please follow Simsbury Parks and Recreation on Facebook for more event info. Also join us for the new, and this is new, Neon Nights event at Simsbury Farms Pool on Saturday, August 15th from 6 to 9 for an electric evening of floating fun. The brightest bash in the neighborhood will feature an array of colorful events, including neon pool floats and beach balls, a giant water slide, a live DJ, also well lit, of course, a light show, a foam pit, food, all kinds of stuff, snacks available. And we're supposed to give a shout out to Kona Ice Truck. Thank you for coming. And also the Doughboys Pizza Truck. Thank you very much. Admission for this is $5 per person, but it will include a free glow bracelet while supplies last. Pay at the door. The most important thing and sad news, of course, with the end of summer fast approaching, the Simsbury Farms Pool will close for the season on Tuesday, August 25th. Really good season. I know everybody had a blast all summer, and the weather was a little better than last year. The Parks and Rec Department thanks everybody for their support, and I know, and on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, I wanna thank all the staff. And how many volunteers, Tom, quickly, do we know? Lifeguards and volunteers and all the people that.
We had about 80 summer staff between our 80 to 90 summer staff between our camp counselors, our lifeguards, and our maintenance personnel this summer.
A lot of hands.
All going back to school soon.
The new pickleball courts are getting a lot of use. Recently, a tournament was held to celebrate longtime Terriffill residents Phil and Charlotte Couchon, who tirelessly advocated for pickleball playing opportunities in Simsbury as the sport was really in its infancy. With the funds the tournament raised and the generous donations from their family and Christine Boswell, new windscreens will be installed at the Terriffill pickleball courts very soon. And also from Parks and Rec, we'd like residents to know that a major renovation of the Simsbury Farm platform tennis courts has just been completed. Replacement of the screens and court surfacing were key parts of the renovation project. And there's a few other things that I'm gonna just put up online, encourage everybody to follow Parks and Rec because they've been doing a super job. Lastly, there is a event that's run by the Simsbury Historical Society that you're all very well aware of, but I wanted to give this a plug. It's Build Your Own Scarecrow at this fun community event on September 19th from 10 a.m. to 3. It's become somewhat of an annual tradition at the Historical Society. Join them, of course, on the front lawn. Pick your own scarecrow frame. You get to dress it yourself, stuff it with straw, and make it uniquely yours. Maybe some historical figures would be appropriate. They're providing the materials. The cost is $20 per scarecrow, and guess what? They do take credit cards. No advance registration is required. That's all I had, Chair. Thanks for the extra time.
Pretty good.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm gonna do the consent agenda now because otherwise I don't wanna forget again. So anyone can weigh in on this, but what I have listed for selectmen action is item A, item C, item D, item F. And then from appointments and resignations, I have item A and item C. If anybody wants to,
I'll make that motion.
okay,
Second.
any discussion?
My only comment would be, I believe Meriwether, on appointments or resignation is already a member of BDC.
He
Can
is.
we make that for 2 months plus the next term?
I think it is for the next, it's starting in October,
For
I
Zemel.
believe,
Is it? Okay.
right?
Then-
Yeah, that's correct, Jerry.
Yeah, he just did it in
Then-
advance
then-
cause
then
he
I'm
had
good.
the information.
I didn't wanna just do 2 months and
Sure,
then
yeah,
redo
no.
it.
So
Yeah.
all those in favor say aye? Okay, so let's go down, who would like to do their report first? Diana?
Quick hands, go ahead.
Sure. From the Board of Ed, there's not much going on other than school starts on August 26th, which is in two weeks and 2 days. I can't believe it's happening already. One thing that is not on my report, but I'm just gonna take privilege, mention Burgers on the Bridge is happening, unless somebody else was gonna mention it. Burgers on the Bridge is happening September 9th from 4 to 6:30 at the Flower Bridge. It's always a great community event, lots of people show up. Please come and enjoy a community event at the Flower Bridge. From DEI, they are working on a Hispanic Heritage Month event, which is between September 15th and October 15th. The Simsbury Civic Forum is going to take place September 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the library. And they are working on a plan for a Juneteenth fiscal agency. More information will be coming to us later. From the library, a lot of stuff going on. They are still having their strategic plan results that they are reviewing. They had the library met and exceeded their Simsbury, their summer reading participation goal with a total of 3,308 participants. This number has grown every year for the past 9 years. They also had over 25 wonderful local businesses, sponsors who donated raffle prizes, and Wendy will be pulling the winning ticket on August 18th. I also wanted to share with everybody, and I handed these out to our selectmen, that these cards, which were note cards featuring artwork by local artist Marianne Hadley Berman, are the Adult Summer Reading Prize this year. There's a little packet of them. Point of privilege, there is a lovely volunteer who every Friday morning has been folding these, and he's thrilled. It's my son Carter. He has been volunteering at the library and folded these cards. That's why they're so precise. And if you're supposed to have 5 cards, trust me, you have 5 cards. From public safety, well, if there's 4 cards, there's 4 cards, you all have 4 cards. This is why I'm not folding cards. You'll have 4 cards and only 4 cards. From public safety, the Junior Police Academy took place last week and graduation was on Friday. They had 13 wonderful participants. Really, they actually took on some new things this year and expanded the program in what they offered, and it was a huge success. Lots of great feedback, great program that our police department offers to our community for youth. But they also want to mention that along with what Mark Nelson was saying, there have been some strong summer storms that have come through, and they anticipate these are going to continue through the rest of the summer and into September, and there have been power outages associated with them, so please be sure to report your power outages. Don't assume your neighbors have. Please report your power outages as soon as they are and if you do see down trees, please be aware that there could be power lines with them, and just report them, and that there's trees down, and the town and Eversource in place will keep you safe. You can call 911 if there's a tree down with power lines. For aging and disability, the fashion show is coming up October 8th at 12 o'clock. They do need volunteers and models. If anybody would like to volunteer or model in the fashion show, it is always a fun time and luncheon. Please let me know and I can connect you with the person. Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center, as Wendy mentioned, the Talkamountain Music Festival season has ended. Tremendous success this year, a lot of great shows. Now they are moving on to their own season, starting with the 502s on August 14th, followed by the Warp Tour on August 15th. The Indigo Girls will be coming to town on August 22nd. And Rock and Roll Playhouse, which is a family event, will be August 29th at noon.
Ben Harper and Ben
Yes,
Henry and Jason Blaine.
Jason Blaine, I'm getting to that, I just got dinged. I don't know. Jason Blaine is coming on October 3rd, along with Ben, as well as the Favar concert, which is, now I'm forgetting the date it is, but it's also coming up. I have tickets and that's why I'm looking at my calendar. And that's all I have.
Okay, anybody else wanna go?
I've got one
Mike-
quick
Mike
one,
has
so I'll just bang mine out.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry,
that
Mark,
okay?
I never looked
I'm
that
slow
way.
hand.
Mike raised his hand again.
Okay, then
I
excuse me.
defer to Mike.
Mike, take the floor, please.
So I just wanna let everybody know I appreciate adding people to EDC and look forward to their meeting next week.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Go ahead.
My only one was Simsbury Main Street does their annual fundraising with the Taste in Simsbury. It is Thursday, August 27th. It usually sells out, so if you are inclined to go, time is up now. That's it.
Culture Parks and, it seems like all of mine get canceled, so Culture Parks and Rec was canceled this month. Police Commission was canceled this month. Zoning did have a very lively discussion about a car wash coming into town. A lot of feedback from the public, desire not to have a car wash in town. So they didn't make a decision yet, but that's what I got.
Okay, Deb?
Heard about Sustainability Committee, which is my liaison, and then also Simsbury Community Media as well. And I am happy that they found an alternative means to continue to live stream. But residents can also continue to view content on the linear channels on the regular cable access there, and there'll still be an archive of some of the previous shows as well. So the goal is to continue to provide access. I hope that the town can support Simsbury Community Media because it was no fault of the nonprofit itself that that content was displayed, nor specifically the fault of the town. But it's something that I think that we can support that organization that provides the access to the community for all the video content. And I know that we've heard from residents that appreciate being able to get access to it. YouTube also ends up being a small but an important revenue source because of the ads that are displayed on there. For Simsbury Community Media. I'll also mention, it's not a liaison, but it's something that I've been involved in with a few folks, a community forum. It's a civic engagement community forum scheduled for September 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. You can register on the Simsbury Public Library's site. The goal of this series and this forum in particular is to provide a venue to have a conversation with fellow residents, not a debate, not on tough or difficult issues, but specifically about how we're involved in the community. If you are a Republican resident who feels like you don't have a voice, if you are unaffiliated and you feel like partisanship is too strong in our community, or if you're a Democrat and you have concerns about the importance of democracy and our Constitution, whatever those things might be, this is an opportunity for you to talk and hear from your neighbors and possibly find out that there's a lot more common ground than you might have otherwise thought. So I give kudos to that group for putting this effort on and trying to get past the noise and work on getting us to be a better community together. That's all for me.
Oh, thanks, Kevin, that was good to point out. I just have a couple things. Our personnel meeting this week was canceled. We didn't really have a quorum. We're going to take up the business at the September meeting. And I did go along on the office space tour this week, and we went to 175 Powder Forest and 125. And it's really interesting to see the office space that exists back there. Like, I was pretty impressed what's there, and hopefully there's a point where somebody takes it up and moves in, because it'd be a nice location to work and have an office. And be jealous of missing an office, my old office anyway. Okay, so we're gonna move into selectmen action. The first item we have is the review and discuss updates to draft on the Code of Ethics. As everybody knows, we had a public hearing last meeting. I think we had a couple of comments. And we're here to discuss it tonight and to, move it forward if that's the case, or to make some changes recommendations to changes here. So I'm gonna open it up to the floor. Or Mark, do you wanna do any sort of introduction?
Just briefly, Chair, we did get to today a email from the town attorney indicating that, and I shared this with board members via email before the meeting, you may not have seen it. We were holding for his approval until we got all the final comments, but we got it early. So the town attorney is kind of blessed it, subject to whatever additional changes that we get in edits and improvements from discussion tonight. Just also want to update you, since the last draft, the red line version in your packet does have some edits that were recommended. We also ran it by the superintendent of schools because one of the changes affects the that side of local government as well. So we've been making progress. I wanna thank everybody that made comments behind the scenes. I think a couple of the key things for consideration tonight are we've been asked, how to treat non-elected boards and commissions and whether or not that should be any different than electeds. The way it's drafted now is that electeds, assuming the Board of Ethics finds probable cause, the report from the Secretary of the Board of Ethics would go to the Board of Selectmen or to the Board of Education as whichever is applicable. It's not clear in this third draft that applies to other boards and commissions. So that's something that we've got to flesh out as we work to get a final draft. Thank you, Chair.
So I submitted some questions, I think, for some changes that I would ask to bring into the board.
We made them.
We all know?
No, we made them. I said you.
Oh, I want everybody, does everybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so on the section, it's hard to, there's no page numbers. I was only, where to find it, it's 13.2-2, under C2. It really is the matter of the Board of Selectmen, any matter involving just an elected official. I feel that it should be an elected and appointed member of a board and commission, and I wanted to bring that to the floor. Because if you're appointed to a board or commission, you should be subject, I would think, to the same ethics standards, because you're serving the community.
I agree for what that's worth.
Could you say the citation again is 13.2 and
Yeah, it's on the second page of the draft, I believe.
Mine are numbered.
Oh, I have an older one, that's why.
Mine says page number 7.
Okay, then I could have just saved everybody time and said page number 7.
No, you cited it correctly.
I didn't have the page because I have an old printed copy that I was using.
I got you.
So the section 2, in any matter involving an elected official of the town, where is that section?
so I'm seeing it, I guess I found it, it's under C 2 and it's the bottom third of the paragraph.
Yeah, the Board of Select, yes. So I think it should say an elected official or an appointed.
Appointed.
Yeah. Yeah, do you guys agree with that?
I don't have it.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Cause some of the appointed boards have a lot of, have some sway here.
No, that's
That was one thing, and then the other thing I asked about was if there's no clause in here if there happens to be an ethics issue with the town manager. I didn't find anything that said if there was an ethics concern with the town manager, where does that go?
It would come to us, wouldn't it?
It
I would
doesn't,
think it would come to us.
right, but it doesn't say anything in here, so
Right.
is that something that should be stated?
I think it is stated somewhere, but not in that section, and it should be in both
Okay,
sections,
yep.
so it was not our intent to exclude it, and
Yeah.
I'm just looking for
It says
where
it's
does.
under, it's on
And-
page 11, I believe, under disclosures 1310.
Yep.
Section C, the secretary or clerk of said agency shall notify the first selectman in the case of an elected official or the town manager, the chair of the Board of Education in the case of the superintendent of schools, and shall notify the town manager in the case of an in-town employee or the superintendent of schools of an employee of a school, Board of Education, along with blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? Is that where it covers it?
That's where we meant to put it, we didn't notice that it should probably also be in this section.
Yeah, cause the other
Wendy is-
stuff is in that other
Right,
section
so
too.
we
Yeah.
wanna make it clear, I believe.
I read that differently.
By adding.
You read it differently, okay?
The reason why I read it differently is the disclosure section is if you're appearing as a, on behalf of somebody, that's in the previous section. So that's why the notification is there and that's where the disclosure comes in, and I recommended change that section. I think that the part that's related to the town manager is under an earlier section because he's an employee.
That's correct.
But he's also appointed, so it's covered that way also.
Well, he's employed by us, so I would read it as section 1312C for employees, and so he would be subject to that just like any other employee. The difference is the other employees report to him, he reports to us.
Okay, so you feel like it's covered is what you're saying?
And it doesn't specifically call him out separately, but that's because I think that we would treat him just like we would any other employee. The reporting structure is just different.
That's fine.
Okay, as long as you guys feel it's covered, then I'm good with that.
I would just say we did mention the superintendent by name in this, so it's just wanted to call that out. So if you're gonna mention the superintendent, because he's also an employee of the Board of Ed, so.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to
I don't
make it
think it does.
explicit, it just clarifies it. So if everybody's okay with the extra explicit, I don't wanna use the word explicit here.
Not recently.
I would just be more comfortable that it's spelled out at the beginning with the other ones.
We'll take care of it, yep.
Agreed.
And then the other thing I had a question on, Mark, and I don't think I explained it properly. I always have trouble when I get here. So in section 3-13-2, right? If it's a board of select, if it's appointed or elected board, it goes to the Board of Selectmen, right? And then later in the disclosure section, it only goes to the first selectman. And I just wasn't sure why, I mean, they're different sections, and maybe I don't understand the difference, but if one thing's going to the full board, why limit the other thing to go to just the first selectman?
In 1310C.
Yeah, 10.
I read that again as if an elected member were to go in front of, because maybe they're an attorney or they have subject matter expertise in a thing that's being discussed in the Board of Ethics. If you are an elected member, it has to be disclosed to, in this writing, in the first selectman. Or if you're an employee to the relevant, jurisdiction or whatever, if you're an employee in that department. I was actually going to recommend that we strike that first sentence. I just find it unnecessary, or after the secretary or clerk. I just don't see why the first selectman would need to know, in all due respect. Would need to know at all that somebody was representing and not being investigated themselves. They were representing somebody else in an ethics hearing, or at least advocating on their behalf in an ethics hearing. Somebody that's a zoning alternate, and they present, or come before the Board of Ethics, why would the first selectman need to know that? It seems maybe that this is a vestige from an earlier iteration, and it may be now antiquated. So I just can't imagine that scenario. I'm willing to consider it, but I would recommend we strike those.
Okay, so that's where I was gonna change to the Board of Selectmen, since we in 13-2, we are made aware of an incident. So that was my change, but if you.
So in my mind, if if I have an employee and they're gonna go do something in ethics, I would wanna know that, and so that's why that disclosure should happen, because they're employed by the town. A member of the zoning commission isn't employed by us. They don't in fact report to us at all. They're separately elected, so I don't see any reason why that disclosure or notification would need to happen to an elected. In fact, it's the Board of Ethics jurisdiction entirely.
Okay, that's fine,
I think
that's
it's
fine.
probably from the former form
I
of
imagine.
government, and it hadn't been changed yet.
Yeah.
All their interviews, for lack of a better term, are confidential,
Yeah,
so should stay that way, I think.
well, and then I had one more thing, so I'm happy with, that's fine, Kevin. When it says on section, the powers and duties, we shall get with a recommendation for appropriate action with the Board of Selectmen. Does anyone feel that it should say with the Board of Selectmen and the town manager, or is that, I mean, could we act with the town manager in many cases? Well, I'm looking at 13-2, page 7.
2.
And Mark, did you address that when I asked that, or did you not follow my question?
I don't think I was following you there. I didn't, if what you were suggesting is that the a finding of probable cause by the ethics committee would go to both.
Yes.
I didn't agree with that.
Okay.
I didn't mean to exclude it, Chair, so
Okay.
that's a decision for the board.
No.
But I didn't jump on that.
Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to cover every base, so, alright. So are we good with the ethics, and we don't have to vote on this, you're saying?
No, we prefer to get a clean draft and make sure we've
Okay, oh, great,
captured
great.
everything, if that's all right with you.
That's perfect with us.
Thanks.
Okay? And you said Bob has already, I haven't been on, Bob's already gone through it.
Yeah, I would just run, you just made it 3 quick
Oh, we
changes,
did
so
make some
we'll run
changes.
by it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, I gotta cross all this out. This is the scheduling a hearing for the local options on the veterans option. So this is, who wants to introduce this? Do you want or do you want me to, Francine? I'll just give you a quick summary. Last year, the state added some additional exemptions for veterans. And so during this last tax cycle, we've had some people asking about them. So we asked to bring this forward to share and explain the different conditions and the cost implications to the town, the financial implications, and then to discuss it, but to decide if we wanna have a public hearing so that we can hear from the public on this. So Mark, how did you see this discussion going?
Thank you, Chair. I think that it's always helpful for the board to hear the public comment around this. We were originally, I know, and I'll just convey for the full board my conversation with Wendy, and I'll ask the town assessor to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that there was an urgency to this to get it done, set a public hearing and make any change that the board wanted to make before October 1st. I was incorrect about that for a number of reasons, actually on a couple of fronts, but the enabling legislation makes it possible to make it retroactive if the board wanted to. So I'm not sure, I'll stand corrected that there is the immediate urgency to do something tonight. But what we'd like to do is get board feedback on whether you wanna opt in, and if so, to all the provisions or some or one but not others. And then we'd come back and set a public hearing, but I'd like to defer to Francine and Amy to tell me if I'm wrong about the timeline, because I know we do have a number of veterans that would be eligible were you to make that change. And I don't wanna do anything that would hurt their chances on the grand list of October 1st.
But because I do know that some people have contacted me and they are concerned that we are going to miss a deadline. So if the information is not correct, we want to make sure that they have the correct information.
My information is that if adopted, you can make it retroactive.
Okay.
Staff is not recommending that you make it retroactive to a grand list prior to October 1 of 26. And that's an important thing to get out there right now. But at the same time, I don't want us to trip over. Typically, when you set a public hearing, you've got the ordinance in front of you.
Right.
And we can't draft the ordinance till we know what the feedback is of the board. So we've got a couple of options, but we'd like to hear from you as the policy board as to what you're thinking. My recommendation is set a public hearing, hear from the public, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Sure. Who wants to,
Francine or Amy?
yeah, do you guys wanna just open?
Did I get any of that wrong?
No, exactly. I mean,
There's a few options, basically.
there are, because, and the important one, of course, as we discussed, is the TDIU, right?
Yeah.
We feel that they really should be included. Originally, they were, and at the last minute, the state made changes, and then they came off. So we had to, by certificate of correction, remove some because of that legislation. So we really feel that they should be included. And in reviewing the ordinance, the local options that the town can adopt, of course, there's a few other items that were brought to our attention, not brought to our attention, but that some veterans brought, for instance, the acreage, up to 2 acres. So based on your recommendations or, the inquiry, we did go out and look and give you what the revenue loss would be based on those that currently are entitled to the actual exemption, okay, by adding that. The other one is for widows. And that if the town were to adopt that, you would have to pick a date, meaning, I mean, it could go back to, you know, if the veteran passed away, you would have to pick a date, as of what date to make it active. So if the town adopts this local option, but effective for October 1st of 26 grant list, but the widow, you know, if that's included in there, had their spouse passed away in 24, you know, you would have to specify like a date. How far back can we go for that veteran when did they pass away?
Even if there was no law then? Even if,
Yeah, so you could go back to, yes, they would have to prove that they were entitled to that benefit. Okay, as it's currently written.
I would just add, Chair, that
It's-
that's
it just
somewhat
makes it a little-
unusual
yeah,
in among all the state tax legislation that I'm familiar with to allow, and obviously that's their discretion. But obviously those fiscal years are open and closed.
yeah.
Going back and making something retroactive is something that
It's- But retroactive, meaning the veteran, when this
I
so
know.
if there's a widow,
Right.
right, so when their spouse passed away.
Yeah, I get it.
But that's the date that would have to be included. We wouldn't go back, you know, to give that exemption going back some years.
Gotcha.
It's just, if they passed away October 1st of 24, okay.
I see. So it wouldn't
Okay,
matter if-
as of October 1st of 26, that widow would get that benefit
Very
if they
good.
were able to prove that he fell under that option that they.
So they would qualify just in the 26 grand list if the person passed away in the time that the law was in effect.
Yeah,
That
The
would-
first law.
The town would have to pick a certain date. How far back do you wanna go back for when that veteran passed away? A timeline, okay?
Right, but you can't go back before this was a law, right? And this was,
You
can.
you
You can.
can?
You
For
can.
that,
So that seems,
That's what's
Just
unusual.
that
yeah, that's what I'm saying, I wouldn't
Just the
recommend
widow.
going back before it was a
No.
law, you would only wanna
Right.
Exactly.
encompass if it was a law, cause that's,
Well, yeah, I thought
Why would
it's,
you?
I mean, you realize what the category of person that we're talking about is the surviving spouse
Yep.
of a service disabled veteran
Yep.
who had a disability rating that was known at the time, and due to no fault of their own or whatever like that, they weren't afforded a benefit which we now think that they would otherwise be
Right.
eligible.
exactly.
So you're allowed to set that window to allow a widow or a widower of that disabled veteran who maybe had, you know, restricted employment capability or untapped earning potential, and now their retirement savings have now been also limited. So you're trying to capture a population in a pool that we also wanna keep these kinds of, engaged and, worthwhile citizens in this town because of the increasing cost burden here. So I don't think, I'm not diminishing the reality of the concerns we might have in making that actual decision. I'll just say that tonight, if I was asked to schedule the public hearing so we could push this forward, I would encourage it highly.
Yes.
And I think we can do all of our homework and dot our i's and t's and make sure that this happens
It's-
because I think it's long overdue.
I agree.
I would just say that is brought to us to do the research on it. It will be very difficult until someone comes forward. It's gonna be.
Oh, for the surviving spouse?
Yeah.
Question, is this encompassing Gold Star families or is that a whole different thing?
That is a totally different thing.
Okay, cause I know they've been
That is
convoluted and brought into the same discussion, so I would like to have clarification on that.
not- Exactly. Do you wanna talk about the Gold Star?
Yeah, Gold Star is just for parents or spouses of veterans that have died while in action. It's a completely different, it has nothing to do
Oh,
with
I
the local
see.
options that are
Okay.
being presented with this part of the law. It's a completely separate local option. We'd be happy to look into it if, that's something that you want us to do.
Is there a deadline for that we are aware of? Was there a change in the law on the state level?
No.
Okay, but so that's something different because there are people in the public, some veterans who are convoluting and thinking that they're wrapped into the same legislation and have been brought up under the same time. And so if it is something we should look into, that is something different. But this is for the TDIU. Okay, so thank you for that. And we don't know, again, how, that would be all different research and numbers and okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
So a couple questions that I had, so I get the spouses, I get the the median assessed residential property, is that just kind of a way to level the playing field for everybody claiming this benefit to one value?
Yes,
So it's,
it would max it out. Okay, so we would use the median when we do our revaluation. Whatever the median is, that's what we would use.
Yeah.
And you can go over, so if the median was $400,000.
Yep.
You know, that would be the max that the veteran could get.
Okay. And
So
then,
we did the calculations, as you can see.
Yeah.
What we did, we give you that.
and then the 2 acres means that if somebody has a property with an additional 2 acres, they can claim those 2 acres.
Well, right now, it's only the dwelling.
The dwelling,
Okay,
yes,
land
yes,
is not included in it.
okay,
If you add that option, if they have up to 2 acres, so someone, you know, in a R40 zone, it's 0.92, if that's all they have, then that's what would get exempted. Someone who has, you know, excess acreage or more acreage, you know, up to 2 acres is what we would exempt. So based on those that currently are eligible for the program, we extracted and give you those numbers, what the revenue loss would be.
okay. Oh yeah, sorry, Mike,
I know.
I gotta look left.
I'm gonna throw a curve at you, Francine, sorry about that. Instead of going back to try to get these values, what if we did it from the date of death or the year of death 4 years forward? So they're getting that benefit, would that simplify your job or complicate it?
All right, clarify your question, because I'm not following exactly.
Okay, I'm a veteran, I'm married, I die,
No.
that's okay, I'm allowed, never mind. My wife could get the benefit for the next 4 years of the appraisal. It kind of takes out because they're gonna have to go through probate probably to do all that stuff, so the town would know. But would that simplify your job, or am I making it more convoluted?
No, we wouldn't look at it that way.
And where, I'm not sure where you get the 4 years from.
I grabbed it out of the air.
I thought so, okay. I think the answer is
So it
no,
would be-
you're okay.
So it's, you know, so you're,
Well, I'm dead, so I don't care.
so what you're referring to is if we would adopt for widows,
Yes.
okay? Again, it would be effective, you know, October 1st of '26, that exemption, right?
In perpetuity.
So it doesn't, yeah, so the only thing, yeah, so even
Okay.
if someone passed away in '24, if that's the date that you would pick, they wouldn't go back, we wouldn't give them for '24, '25, '26, it would just be for '26.
Okay.
But it's just setting a date as far back as where we can go for when this individual passed away.
I was trying to simplify it, I did.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
all it is,
I'm dead,
because
so.
because it could be, you know, if someone, because really the way it was written up, it doesn't include, they were specific about, you know, this is effective for October 1st of '25. And they let the towns decide if you wanna go back, you can do that, but that's by local option.
Okay.
That's the only reason for that.
Do we need to know this information to set the public hearing? Like, do we need to know how far back we're gonna look?
It's a great question. We believe yes. I mean, you could set the public hearing now for whatever date you wanted to do it. We don't have the ordinance here. You'd have to give us the guidance. We could get the ordinance published and meet all the deadlines, I think, Tom, is what we had said. But we didn't, once we learned we didn't have to rush, we thought we'd just get your feedback on what options you wanted to have us, actually put in the ordinance, so.
So additional question, just for if to going back to the expediency question, are there these veterans who would qualify the 58. Are they currently owing taxes or maybe even back in taxes and setting this and getting this handled sooner and having them qualify for the it would then stop accruing any interest or whatever else. And this may not apply, I just wanna make sure, because I just don't want, the longer we wait for these individuals who would qualify and benefit from this, to be penalized in waiting.
Okay, so we currently have 50 individuals.
Yeah.
Okay, that already are entitled, they're receiving the benefit.
Okay.
The 8 difference, those are the
Oh, eight.
8 right now that we
8,
know
okay.
of that fall under that, what we want you guys
Okay.
to pass, the TDIU.
Got it.
Okay, those, we know of 8 so far, so that's the difference. So they would receive it as of, for the next grant list.
And are they accruing interest on anything owed currently?
No.
Okay.
No, because it would be effective for the next grant list, which would be
Exactly.
10/1 of
Exactly.
26.
Okay.
We're not,
Fine.
yeah,
I just want,
Due July of 27
exactly.
and January of 28, right? So it wouldn't affect delinquencies.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And really, when we're looking at the net effect of the financials here, it's really the difference then between the new options versus what our current situation is anyway, because it's only 8 individuals. So for example, current law, it's 380. If we're just including the TDIU, it's 434, so it's the difference between 434 and 380. Okay, thank you.
So that seems like a no-brainer. The TDIU obviously. I don't see on here though, in anything for the surviving spouse factor.
We didn't calculate because we have absolutely no idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's a piece of information,
We have no
whether
idea.
seems like something we might consider, but if we don't have any impact on that.
I mean, we know,
Yeah.
Way to know.
if we're being asked, we know like how many widows, we would be able to pull that, but that doesn't mean that they would qualify for this program, it's a totally different thing. So the veteran would have to be, fall under that,
Yeah.
100% totally,
Yep.
would have had to have that classification when he passed away. So we know that there's widows, but we don't know if they fall under that, so it's no idea.
So that would have to be work that you guys do.
We would have to send a letter out to all
Yeah.
the widows and ask them, what did they have for classification? Did they qualify for this program?
Okay.
That's how we would have to address it.
And it's something we could,
Because it's so new also.
is it something we could address at a later time if we adopt this and then address widows at a later time, or does it have to be within the same ordinance?
No, it doesn't.
Different,
Okay.
there are
And that
different
could-
options that the town can
That
adopt.
could be, if we do it without that, and then it would give time to do the research if we choose to on that one.
And also, if we adopt this and it gets published and people know about it, then you may get people suddenly asking about it, the widows. And then you would have an idea of how many are asking and,
So
And that's how we found
Right.
out about the 8.
correct.
So then, Chair, we'd recommend setting the public hearing.
yeah, I was gonna say that we should just put it out there.
I'll move effective August 10th to schedule a public hearing on adopting 2 local options allowed by Connecticut Public Act number 25-168 for 6 p.m. on Monday, September 14th, 2026.
Okay,
Second.
all those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Chair. We'll circulate the ordinance as soon as we've got it
Okay.
cleared by legal.
Do we need to pick which one we are going to be putting on the ordinance, like the,
It's the
Give them
first,
options.
if you wanna just say it for the record,
Yeah,
I
put
think
them
I
on
know.
and people will speak to them and then we'll
The
hear what
public
they
hearing
say.
is, we will make the changes after the hearing.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
The next item is the Greyfield Revitalization Program grant. This was done by Mark. I'm gonna let him explain this and talk about it.
It's 5 minutes.
Thanks. Let me get to that
Oh, thank
page.
you, I'll turn the clock on.
Do I have 5 minutes? No.
You have this, whatever.
No, I'd try to be brief. This would be with the board approval, a retroactive approval of a grant application that we filed last week on the actual deadline, knowing that there would be a board meeting just days away. A gray field as opposed to a brown field, for those not familiar, is a property that has no known environmental challenges, but is essentially a vacant commercial piece of property. I believe in your packets and online, there's information about this particular grant program. We're not 100% sure that this property even qualifies because of potential environmental issues at the site. But nevertheless, in the out of an abundance of caution and because of the deadline, my office went ahead and filed the application. It can be supplemented or augmented as more information is made available to us by the property owner or others. It can also be withdrawn if the board doesn't support our entry of it. We just didn't want to miss that deadline. The ask is for $175,000 from the state to conduct an assessment, essentially of the best and most appropriate use for the property at, I believe it's 82 Hopmeadow, right? I get 82 and 84 mixed up. I would just say for those on the board who may not be tracking the Main Street vacancy project that Wendy and Stephen and I and George and others are working on. This is obviously one of the properties that was selected by Main Street to target and bring to bear all of our resources and kind of deploy a whole of government approach to resolving the vacancy. So, one of those approaches is to seek grant revenue, particularly for assessment studies, because I think that otherwise a potential owner might have it in his or her mind that these things aren't going to work. And they may have a preconception that the only thing that works there because of the ROI calculation is residential. They may believe, for example, that they'd rather have more one bedrooms than the 2 or 3 bedrooms that our planners and our policymakers might want. My point is that if we can help an owner get an assessment through a program like this that identifies many options, we're probably doing the town a service, our colleagues on other approving boards a service, and certainly the owner a service. I guess my question would be, are we inadvertently or unintentionally helping them put up, something that the town wouldn't want? I think that question is it requires management to have a crystal ball that we don't have, and it would require management to say that, well, without knowing what the owner is committing to build there, we're not going to assist them in getting this particular grant. And I think that's an important point. I'm happy to take questions.
That's my question.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna come out and say it.
Yeah, and
That's my question.
And I think we're both on the same track here because I think we're both coming at it from different ends of the same thread. My point is that the study will yield a document that will be constructive in guiding the decisions, hopefully, that the developer makes around the future potential uses of that project. In the absence of that, if we didn't do this, what right would we have to expect that the owner would, out of his or her own pocket, pay the $150,000 to do the study? They might just walk away and we end up with the very proposal that we might now be concerned that we're aiding and abetting. So it's a policy call, but if we had missed the deadline, we wouldn't have the opportunity. So the decision for the board today is a policy decision. We can withdraw it. We could also work to make it better, quite frankly, because we were a little rushed on this, I do confess. And we did get letters of support both from Main Street, our Main Street partners here in Simsbury, and also from State Main Street as well, their main organization. So that's all I had, Chair, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up my comments because that's what I do. So I just wanna say, I know this is me being picky, but I know that Sarah and Melissa were part of making this decision. I was not. I'm just on CC, which I got later than after it was submitted. My question was, I had read the correspondence, the Hartford Current, was it the Current? It was in one of the things about the person who purchased this, moved some of the employees to the Hartford that he also purchased, and that basically we'll be looking at this property over the next 3 years and we'll try to re-tenant the building, and if not, may demolish it and make it residential. And we've heard so much already about residential on Route 10. I think all of us have heard it for as long as we've been an elected official. So I obviously, we don't know what that would look like either, but we don't wanna be the people rubber stamping that, right? We want somebody to put commercial business in here. I think that's the goal. And I guess, I don't see any negative in this grant, but I also wanna know, is there a circle here where it comes back to us? We get the plan, the proposal, so we can see what the proposal is, or can we weigh in on the proposal? If the highest and best use is a 4-story apartment complex, I'm just asking, and I know there's a housing need, but there's also, we hear this every day. So is there any circle that it comes back to us? And no one may agree with me on that, but I just curious.
Chair, there is one, and that is that your motion tonight wouldn't be necessarily to appropriate, and we've had this
Yes.
discussion before.
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways that the board makes sure that it comes back to you for another look, and it's just not, rubber stamped. So I do take your point to heart, and yes, it would come back to the board were the grant approved. I would also say from my experience with these types of grants, there is a back and forth with the state. The state's not likely to approve this without, some additional work on our part and on the part of the owner. And we'll keep the board involved and aware of that. Again, with environmental challenges there, the whole thing might not be approved, but I thought better to have it in there and let you withdraw it or rather than miss the deadline.
I'm in favor of authorizing the grant application retroactively, but not the other two motions regarding the acceptance or the appropriation, and then we can decide after we've had a chance to consider it and then actually what's happening.
Agree.
What, do we know it's gonna be $175,000?
That was the ask. The maximum amount I think the grant permits is up to either $225 or $250. Our assessment was $175 was a reasonable ask. I think there's a 50-50 chance that might be approved. One of the advantages, if it is, of course, you're gonna end up with the work product. But another one is that it keeps us, it puts the town at the table much earlier in the process, and you're able to have conversations with the owner that ordinarily our side of municipal government might not have.
Yeah, so I like Kevin's proposal. I also wonder if we get the grant, can they come and speak to us about plans on the property?
Yep.
What he would do and how would this help?
So, and my question is the 175 going to be enough for what you need?
If he has to pay the difference.
You have to pay the difference.
Yeah, there's no match. That's a good question. There's no cost. There's no, we did indicate in the staff reports that there's no fiscal impact. There actually is staff time involved in this. I wanna thank Tom Fitzgerald for working on it, and we did get some help from Main Street too. But no dollars on the table from the town of Simsbury at all.
Okay, alright, so I'm gonna ask for a motion effective August 10th to submit the 2026 Greyfield Revitalization Program grant application and authorize town manager Mark Nelson to execute the application
So moved.
If you could say retroactively.
retroactively.
Thank you, Chair.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, done. Now we're on to the goals, so I'm just gonna give a little background on how we got where we got. We had circulated probably in May, maybe earlier, last year's goals, had solicited input from the Board of Selectmen on any new goals they wanted to see. We brought them to our June meeting and it was, I think we were probably like 10 o'clock, and so we said everybody would take them back and look at them. So then for the July meeting, I put together a PowerPoint that we also included in here to summarize the goals that we had received. I categorized them with headings so that it was easy to kind of follow what was going on. And then I took, after our last meeting, which we had a really good discussion, I took the results of that and hopefully captured what I heard I sent it to everybody to provide feedback if it wasn't what you heard, and to put them together and to see if we can get approval on the goals or have any additional questions on them. One other thing that I did do just for fun, I guess you might wanna say, well, the top part is the overviews. We had the major categorizations, and those are all priority one because we had specific goals within each one. Municipal facilities and community access, economic development and grandless growth, governance on the elected part, which is policies and ordinances, government operations and financial sustainability. I combined the financial piece into government operations to make it easier. Public safety, sustainability and community service, and then housing, land use. And then under each one, the max I think is 6 for some of them. I did put a level in there because some of them are easier or already in progress and things like that. And then just to say that those we can move on faster. Some we only start this term, may carry into the next term. But that's pretty much what you're looking at here, and open it up for conversation. And if you don't have it, yeah, make a motion.
So if we approve them, it's the table that's in front of us, the one table?
Well, yeah, I think it would be put into more of a document for the public, like we did last time. But I just consolidated the PowerPoint here, just to make it easy to look
So
through.
what are we working off of?
The-
You've got way too many lists.
No, the spreadsheet, there's only a spreadsheet in the top,
Spreadsheet at the bottom.
or top, it should be the top, but I,
Wendy, is that this one?
72. It's this one.
that one, yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, okay.
And I did send it out earlier, like maybe last week. I just didn't add the numbers in the top part.
Wendy, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
So on the priority level, were we supposed to see anything other than 1 and 2?
no, because I wasn't even gonna put that in there, but I just kind of did it based on the conversation, which ones people were like ready to jump on and which ones maybe could slow down a little. Those are flexible. Those aren't like science, those are just can be changed, but we could just strike them too.
Yeah.
No, I think they actually reflect what we discussed.
Yep.
People were passionate versus passive.
This is nothing's a 3.
No threes, we don't do threes here.
So I do have a question though, so if I look at this final spreadsheet versus like this
Yeah, yeah.
PowerPoint, take municipal facilities and community assets. There's 3 listed there, but there's discussion on,
Yeah, we said no. I went through my notes and
I
we
just want, yeah.
we cut those out. We said these were the top priorities. There were some longer term ones and these were the short term ones, and
Okay,
since
that's what I wanna clarify.
we're not long term right now, I only included the short term.
That was my clarification, cause I wanna make it clear, especially for the public, that we're not saying no to these items altogether, they're just not in our short-term
Yeah,
goals.
yep.
Okay,
Right now,
thank
we're
you.
just looking at things that we can get done, kind of almost like at a task level to kick off things we've talked about. We may not get to all of them, we didn't get to all of our goals last year, but these are things that we can have staff start working on, we can start creating work groups on, getting teams. So for instance, one of the top ones on economic development, we've said multiple times, figure out how our economic development resources are gonna work together. I mentioned last meeting, Steve and Mike, both economic development guys, I guess, to maybe brainstorm a little, and then we would have a smaller group come back to the table and then we could kind of whiteboard that. I think if we approve these, we can maybe talk about resources on our board, who's interested and wants to work on some of these with staff. I'm open to suggestions, but I don't think we have to do that tonight. I think we can kind of do that offline, and do it that way.
Chair, I just had one comment on the whole thing, if I
Yeah.
could. One is very important to us and staff as we move into the budget, and I was just gonna recommend you change it from a 2 to a 1. It's in the 4th section. It's shared services expansion, paving, buildings, maintenance, and all of that. That's gonna figure prominently in our budget submission in February anyway, so
Okay.
you know, if you don't mind making that a higher priority, it would match our work plan, and we would certainly focus on it
Yeah, that's fine. That was when there was some of it was already underway, so I kind of I wasn't sure where we were, but sure, that's fine with me.
Thank you.
Because that is a priority that we've talked about multiple times.
Like that. One of the things that I have I think we need more discussion on is the second bucket, economic development and grand list growth.
Yep,
Discuss initiative of an arts council policy resolution.
yep,
I'm not sure what we mean by that,
yep.
but I'm having a tough time envisioning a separate board or commission.
Okay,
A group that gets back to us, but I don't think the town should be deciding what kind of play goes on or what kind
no.
of stuff. Well,
Yeah.
this was kind of before I was getting here,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard it defined. But we frankly have the facilities to do those things, which makes a ton of sense to have some input, but not saying, we're gonna do that play and not that play, or
yeah, so I would weigh in on that.
that would be, I don't know.
So I leave I look at this, Mike, as a TBD, what does this look like? And would it be, let's say the president of the theater guild and the director of the, I don't know, Simsbury Summer Theater,
Okay.
people that meet to try to bring more arts to town.
Artistes.
Yeah, artists.
It sounds like it's priority 3.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it as a 2 and then when we start branching out to 3s. But that's why I made it a 2 because it's not,
Sure.
it's also, here's the other caveat. If we're gonna look at policies and ordinances, this would have to be a policy and in my opinion, it would fall to it would be one of the lower priority policies. So we could start working on it, but we do have a lot of other policies we've been talking about that might take precedence over that.
Thank you.
So that's all.
Great.
Just trying to get just a work plan to get moving on.
Right. If we do, on that note though, because it does dovetail even into economic development, because if we do look at forming an arts council, that opens up the avenue from the state to be, to get this designation. And
Okay.
doing that roadmap then opens us up to the availability of grants and funding.
Okay, well, I'm not taking it off the list unless we vote it off the list, so.
I have one
Sure.
add-on, but I can go whenever everybody's
Go
ready.
ahead.
In the open space part, I know that Wendy, you
Yeah,
and
so-
I have talked about this and
Yep.
all that. The only thing that I would wanna add to the language in the goals is protect town-owned open space by ordinance or conservation easement.
Okay.
So this is a totally new line?
Yeah,
Well, either a whole new line or in the open space position where it talks about policy from Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
I would wanna articulate specifically from this board in our goal setting that we would protect town-owned open space by ordinance or conservation easement.
but where applicable or where desired, because
Yes.
I've been asked for that for
Yeah.
certain areas and it's not in the best interest of the town in some
It's
cases.
still for our discussion here, but that I would add that there are definitely ones that would be a priority for all of us, cause we've had this discussion ad nauseum and I'm not gonna name it.
Yep,
But like then we just articulated we're gonna do that, it doesn't mean that all of it is, but I would say that that's then some, however you wanna modify it, but I for me, I would feel more comfortable if we specifically articulate that by ordinance or conservation easement.
okay, well, I would also though, I'm not sold on that because I'm not sure that that's something our board wants to start saying no to every piece of open space that it has a conservation easement. I mean, obviously it would be up for debate.
I'm in agreement.
So that's something. The other thing is, after listening to Susan today, they are working on this, right? They're creating their own open space.
Cause they follow our goals, by the way.
So, well, then they'll have a solution for this.
Yeah.
So I don't like the idea of us saying that I feel like that's just saying every piece of open space we're gonna look at for a conservation easement, which is I don't feel that's the case. So if there's a better way to word that.
Not all the open space is gonna be town-owned, I guess, but there obviously were changes in the law since we actually last had our board with 8002 that calls out some of this area, specifically government-owned area. And so that I think that from my perspective, we have the ability from this board to protect the open space by ordinance or conservation easement, and some of it isn't. And so by doing that and setting that as a priority here, we've made it clear that that's going to be something that we're gonna address in the biennium.
So if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see where you're going at and I appreciate it, but I find it binding to us.
Yeah.
We have a lot of open space. I'm not saying we should develop the open space or anything. Don't take anything out of context here. But our open space keeps growing. Meadowwood, we brought on board 286 wonderful acres, which I am not suggesting, to be clear, that we do anything with.
I agree.
But we continue to add to our open spaces. And I'm not saying one more time we should divest of any open space, but I don't wanna see additional constraints that we're looking to enshrine them. I think what this says is we're looking at it
In
to come
general.
up with, you know, sort of the open space plan, because we keep adding to our open
Yeah.
space, which is great. But to say that we're going to, you know, protect them from anything, we need athletic fields, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying those in particular either, I'm being very evasive, but I think the additional language just constrains us where we could do everything you're saying with it as written.
And we could include it in the position/policy with caveats as opposed to making it a full statement.
If
So-
Yeah.
If I hear from the majority of the board here that everyone's interested in pursuing an ordinance or conservation easement when it's appropriate over
Yes.
this next biennium,
Yes.
then I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure that we're under the same thinking.
We hear the
that might
same
be
people,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
I know where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
and I've had discussions on it, and I've also had discussions with the town on it. And so it's not always in the town's best interest, and that would be the conversation we would have to
Right.
put a caveat in here, just to weigh when it's appropriate, whatever.
I also don't know how much more open space we're really getting, except for the Hartford property, which isn't protected open space. I don't really know of a lot of places where all of a sudden the buildings have gone down and now there's nothing
But
there.
it's market driven. Meadowwood was supposed to be a boon for whoever owned it at that time,
Sure.
not Culbro, but whatever, Griffin Land. And they realized they could not get their dollar and it worked out to their advantage to sell to the town. So they never planned on that. Nobody ever planned on that being open space, but the market, it evolved.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll be honest, one of the things, cause I do lean towards economic development, is our commercial base continues to get decimated, and I'll be honest, I don't wanna put any constraints about potential growth of commercial base in the future. So depending on where that land is something for me as far as whether I would want to permanently enshrine it when it's really where logic would say to put some increase in our small commercial footprint.
There's a really good section from last year's board about the not started on the goal list. I'm just hoping that those two items don't end up on that list at the end of the biennium. That's my concern and what I'm hoping that everybody agrees with.
Okay, we'll put you on the commission, we'll put you as the head of the work group. Okay, so,
Question for you,
yeah,
Wendy.
yep,
I believe that should, the section that describes an open space position policy
from, yep,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't know we had a form, so.
yeah, we don't have a form, and yes, it's a typo.
We also have zoning regulations.
Did I say that too?
Those are really,
Those are really, you know,
What,
those
so
are
why
tricky.
isn't my Excel catching my
It doesn't, I have no concerns, those are
My errors.
typographical errors, no
The
problem.
form is a word, so it's.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
It is a,
I don't
oh
know
yeah,
why Tom
I
spelled
thought
it
it
that
was
way.
correct.
Regulations.
well, I just,
It's
look, I
not.
just changed it before Diana told me and
So do
Mike
we need a
told me.
motion to approve these?
Yeah, I'd love a motion to approve them.
So I'll move effective August 10th, 2026 to adopt the Board of Selectmen goals for the 2025-2027 term as presented.
I'm gonna,
Second.
I went to the second.
Go ahead, you
Can I
second.
second them? 'Cause
Can I third it?
yeah. And any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think that was everybody. What's next? Oh, the appointments, okay, oh yeah, there's still stuff to do here. Okay, so so here's the deal. Personnel interviews EDC of applications. We received one, Jeremy Pearlman came through the DTC. We also, these are for two Democratic positions. Michael Zemel, for some reason, came through the town but did not go back to the DTC, which I kind of thought that was the process. That if a D came in and they didn't go through the town, But anyway, we interviewed him. At personnel, we decided to bring it to the full board because we had a split decision on the two amongst two of the members, and one person on the board did not weigh in or vote. So we thought we'd bring it to the full board. There's a need to populate the EDC that we've been hearing about quite a bit. And at this point, these are the two people. There was another candidate who could not meet or get interviewed in the timeline, and there will be another opening or two in October. So we felt like let's just move these forward today. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that's all.
I'll just add that for clarity on the staff memo, maybe for the record should be corrected that they're neither are recommended. That Jeremy Pearlman was nominated by the DTC. Both
Yes.
were interviewed by the nominating committee, and they're sent to, as you described, sent to the full board without recommendation.
Yeah, I
Or in
would
absence.
have included that. I didn't really notice
I
it
just
at
think
the.
I just think it's good for discussion.
Right,
Yes, can we
No
include,
objection to what
no,
you
can
said.
we include that in the minutes, just
Sure.
include that in the minutes that that piece of information that was not on the cover memo.
The memo's not.
Is it in absence of a recommendation or,
They were forwarded without
Without
recommendation. At the meeting,
It was
there
a
was no vote to
tie,
forward.
yeah.
right, but they weren't, my clarification on this is it was a tie, so it's not that they failed.
No, one,
Right,
it was
it
it was
didn't
a
pass.
it was a two
Right,
people
it was
had
a draw.
different opinion, it was a draw.
So that's without recommendation rather than not recommended, cause not recommended to me
Yeah.
means,
It-
so in absence
So
of
we're
a
bringing it to you for recommendation.
Yes.
We're giving you more power.
I am happy to move these forward.
Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna move effective August 10th, 2026 to appoint Jeremy Pearlman as a regular member of the Economic Development Commission for a term ending October 10th, 2027.
So moved.
Let's do them separate, cause they're all,
I have a question.
we'll wait till the discussion then.
Alright.
Somebody second it. Okay, go ahead, Curtis, what's your discussion?
How do you choose the time frame? Like who, cause one's
Well,
2027.
That was just how it came out. There was, one of the positions was ending in October in 2 months or 3 months. So that person was extended for the full term. We don't have to do that. We can wait and do that in October. It was just, I think it was just kind of done randomly. I don't know if it should be the other way around for the person that was recommended from the DTC and the other one that wasn't.
It's whatever you wanna do.
Well, I don't have a preference, so
I mean, we'll be reevaluating in October anyway,
yeah. So, well, unless
of
we-
next year,
of next year.
for the one.
For that one, the other one goes to 2029.
Yeah, so I defer. Am I allowed to defer?
don't think you guys know.
So, okay, so did we vote on the first one yet,
Not
or you
yet.
just asked the question? Alright, so all those in favor of the Jeremy Pearlman to 2027, say aye.
Aye.
Michael Zemel is a regular member, motion to move him with a term ending October 10th of 2026.
And will you further move? on
And
this
then
one?
we'll further move to appoint him as a regular member to the term ending October 10th, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And again,
Just for the record, I abstained on both just because of process, we talked about it before.
okay, sorry,
No,
I'm
no
sorry,
pressure.
didn't hear that, but yes, Kevin, so there's 5, 1 abstention.
Yeah.
The other thing that I do wanna say here is as we do this economic development grand scheme, you know, things may change on the boards and commissions because we wanted to revisit the policy or ordinance, so just putting that out there as a caveat. Nothing's in stone. Okay. Let me play something. Okay, the minutes. I had a couple.
The minutes of July 13th, 2026.
Second.
I have a couple of things that I wanted to bring up on the minutes. And I just wanted to bring up, this was a question, it's on line 77. It talks about the fire department was called to 133 Holcomb Street on July 4th for a big party. It makes it sound like it was this year. I don't think the person gave the year, but I think it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. And I think, can we put in parentheses what the year was so it doesn't look like it was this year? Is that legal? As like a footnote?
Not really.
Okay.
Going off of Robert's rules of my memory, not real.
Okay,
The best thing to do would be to make it part of the record now,
yes,
so that the minutes of this meeting
yes.
Will reflect.
correct it, but I don't think we can make a change.
Okay, that's a great point though, so I'd like in today's minutes to say that I am saying that July 4th was not this year, and I don't know the exact year, but it was many years ago.
It's 2017.
2017.
I think.
So it's
Over 8 years.
over 8 years ago, the comment
Yeah,
for
years
clarification. And then the other thing I wanted to add to the record was I believe we've heard multiple times that the sign on Antonio's property was legal. And I just want that in the record also.
It's part of our discussion, I guess, for the minutes, but there's no change to the record.
Yeah.
I don't think you can
Got it.
change them.
You
No,
can't
yeah,
change it.
so I'm just saying I brought that up as
It's
part of
not-
today's
Right,
minutes.
cause it's a substantial change, it's not a correction with a,
Yeah, those are my minutes for next minutes.
it's not that something was recorded incorrectly, we can't change, yes.
Okay.
It's being recorded now, though.
Correct.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah, it's existential kind of thing.
So my comment or clarification is the Antonio's Restaurant, although I do have an interest in it, is a separate entity. It's a corporation under the eyes of the law. It's independent of me. And Junko utilizing it to preach about boycotting and such, which has no direct reflection on me, I think it's inappropriate for it to be in the minutes. You can't pick on any business. You can't, it's not the business that is a public figure. I admit I am a public figure, and like it or not, I have to tolerate the antics of this person. But to have a business that 50 people in this town, most of them reside in town, to be persecuted just because of an affiliation for me is too far for this dais to be used as a podium to preach this sort of unfair market practice. Antonio's Restaurant did not put a restraining order against her unless she's gonna boycott the dry cleaners as well, which I am not saying it should be allowed, or boycott Sunrise, or boycott Dunkin' Donuts. But persecuting Antonio's Restaurant as being one of the many businesses in this town that I have an interest in, I think it's totally inappropriate. It should be in the minutes of a town meeting. It does not belong here, it should not be tolerated.
So is that will be
I don't know
captured,
how to,
that should be captured
cause I
in
mean, it's continuing.
minutes.
You
Two.
it's now captured with what you said.
It's now captured today, correct, Tom?
Yeah, your minutes, you can do just resident spoke. Like you,
Oh,
so like the detail of like the point of a board's minutes are not supposed to be transcripts.
Right.
So you can make them
If you go
concise.
back a couple of years, we never had it verbatim like it is now,
well,
which it's good for
However-
However,
For-
the
What?
But so
public
like
could ask.
the board could say, and maybe you could study the other boards
Yeah.
in towns, what they do, but like the point of the minutes is not a transcript, it's a minutes, basically the actions that you took, you can
Yeah.
say. Same thing for public hearings, you can say X resident spoke in favor, X resident spoke against. You don't have to record transcripts of sayings, that's a board decision. Whatever you guys
Okay.
want.
so, and that's, we've talked about minutes so many times, and it's a little bit better now with now that we don't have YouTube today, but you can go to certain sections. And I would put this under the goal that we have here, standardized communications from the town manager's office. I know we just approved them, but I think we could say that minutes fall under that, and maybe we just don't write. Because I also feel that the public audience gets their views across, and our views are only a vote, and we don't really get to see what was behind our opinions on a vote. We just get this person voted, this person voted. It doesn't always, again, I don't wanna spend the night talking about minutes, but you know what I'm saying.
Sometimes I take a point of privilege to clarify my vote on something too. So we all are afforded that ability, you know, to do that, you know, at the chair's discretion.
And you would like to have that recorded, wouldn't you? Like,
Sometimes I do, for
and-
that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a topic
Are we
of
gonna be
discussion.
able to do that at public?
Yeah, we just don't do it during public audience. There's two things. I think maybe we should set up a larger discussion about this whole
Yes.
thing. I think it's okay that the public comes here, and I think it's okay that the public says things that are incendiary, and I think it would be very dangerous for us to only truncate the comments on people with whom we disagree. as disagreeable as it might be. And I think that that's a reality of being in the public discourse. I think that it's an onus among all of us, the general public and the members that are elected here, to comport ourselves in a way that's worthy of the office that we're in, and it's unfortunate when we don't.
So I agree with that, but I wanna point out my point is not about being harassed by this individual.
I understand.
It's that it's gone further and it's
You're right.
affecting
I
other
understand.
taxpayers that have no place in this
And
discussion.
employees.
You know,
Understand.
it's gone too far, so I don't know how, you know, it should not be memorialized, to be quite frank. When I'm a public figure now, like it or not, and I gotta take the bad with the good. I don't know what the good is, to be quite frank, but you know, as far as stretching it now into the personnel that work for me and affecting their income, it's a step too far. Now it's not me being a public figure, it's a vendetta.
I think you made your point, Steve, and
Yeah.
I think that everybody's heard.
Captured, we got it.
I have a modification on page 9 on line 377. It says something with number 5s in there, and I think it was supposed to be by invitation only.
It is.
Do you have a line item?
Line 377,
What page?
page 9.
Oh, page 9. Oh.
Right here, see all the
Okay.
fives?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Unless there are
Oops,
others,
that means I didn't read that, okay.
unless there are others, I'd request we call a question.
What did you just say?
Do we should vote?
Okay, let's vote. I'd like to ask for a motion. I
You
didn't
did.
make, oh, okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That was the longest minute discussion we've had, I go. Okay, I have a couple things before we just adjourn, I just wanted to point out, included in the packet was the PAC responsibilities, and I did have a question on that, Mark. Because for some reason, I heard, or I thought I heard, that Tom's the Public Works is kind of doing the cleaning for a couple months to get an idea of what the cost is gonna be and impact to the town, before we firm up that we're doing it in perpetuity. And it doesn't really say that here, and I'm not sure if I misheard that. That's all.
I think it was through the season. He was going to see how,
Yeah,
yes,
and that
yeah.
so it wasn't forever, we were gonna kind of circle back. And I didn't see that here, and I just wanna make sure that's still true.
That's still true.
Okay, that was my comment on that one. And I forgot to mention earlier, the Stoddard Dam facts I asked to have included here because we heard a lot of things last meeting. Tom is following Deep's recommendations. I don't think Deep has said anything about impact to animals or things like that, and I would hope that that's in their purview. So I did ask him to provide all the facts. I also don't think he included in the facts that some people spoke that they didn't know about the Fish and Game Club, you know, going through that, but we met with them multiple years ago, and that was on the president and the people of the club to share that with their club members. And if that wasn't the case, that was their thing. So with that, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye, okay.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SCM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community, ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings, and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SCM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions. And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth, and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events.
They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
For generations to come.
Visit our website.
Or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
Counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media.
where your town
Your schools and
And your government come together.